Hello everybody and welcome back to another review of this Oxford United season. Wow, what a crazy game Oxford have just had with Peterborough. And one thing I think we all feared when we played the bigger sides of the league that would just be absolutely destroyed and smashed. Well, we weren't. Oxford put in a good performance and good showing overall, but ultimately they still lost. The score ended Oxford United 1, Peterborough United 2. We'll get into the game. I'll do player ratings after that and then give you my final thoughts. You can check it down on the timestamps below if you just want to jump ahead to certain things. But ultimately, first of all, I'm going to say well done to Peterborough. Not been doing well away from home this season, which is something I thought gave Oxford a chance in this game. And you've been throwing away a lot of points from winning positions, which is another thing I thought Oxford had hoped for in this game. But despite you're not kicking on from being 2-0 up, you did hold on for a very important win. I know you've got injuries in players missing in your side as well. So very, very well done from your point of view. You looked great going forward, everything that I expected from your side, really. But let me know in the comments your thoughts on the game and obviously the key talking points. Oxford made one change from the side that beat Exeter 4-2. James Henry comes out for Billy Bodin. James Henry is injured. Of course he's injured. Everybody's bloody injured. Baldock's gone for another scan, so God knows when we're going to see him again. And Murphy is not injured but not picked because they're managing his fitness, but he was available last weekend, but now he's not available. I don't know what's going on with Murphy, but don't expect to see him anytime soon. So the side looks quite threadbare, but it is a side that played well against Exeter last weekend. But we're not the only side with problems. Peterborough have got injury problems too, and they had 5 players missing from their defeat to Wycombe. You lost to Wycombe? Oh, we know how that feels. Let me just read out these changes very quickly. Nathan Thompson, Knight, Fuchs, Ben Thompson and Jones came out of the side. Edwards, Taylor, Mason Clark, Poku and... oh my God, I can't say this. Ciprianu. This was a very entertaining game, really. I think that it was played largely on the front foot, certainly in the first half. Second half, there was reasons why the game was exciting. We'll get to that. But I thought this was a very entertaining game of football. I thought Oxford started on the front foot. I thought Peterborough looked dangerous every time they came forward, like I thought they would do. Certainly a cut above. Yeah, well, this is the best side we've played since Plymouth, isn't it? Plymouth looked really good. Peterborough, again, I think looked good going forward. I don't think they look quite so good going at the back. But Oxford had chances straight away, and most notably was Billy Bodin had a goal ruled out for offside. Very early on, it was Matty Taylor getting in the way of the keeper. Would the goal have gone in if Matty Taylor wouldn't have got there? We don't know. But it was given offside. But Oxford did start brightly. Their chances from Bodin and from Taylor early on in the game. But just after that disallowed goal, Peterborough went up the other end and scored. Of course they did. A feature of the 2 goals, really, and where Peterborough looked at their most dangerous was when they beat Oxford's press. And this is where the first goal came from. Oxford tried to press the ball quite deep on the left-hand side in the Peterborough half. They got 3. They got the ball into midfield. They got the ball out wide. Mason Clark ran down the left. He caused long problems all afternoon. Got the ball into the area. There was a lot of arriving midfielders. Oxford couldn't get the bodies back because they'd overcommitted up the top of the pitch. And Jack Taylor was there to just bobble the ball home, really. Nothing Simon Eastwood could do about it. And just a worry, really, of sign of things to come, of how easily Peterborough did carve us open. But Oxford themselves still did keep going forward, to their credit. There were little lulls in the game where Peterborough did dominate us for a 10-15 minute period in that first half. But Oxford, I thought, still, when they did get the chance to come forward, looked pretty good. I thought the movement from Bodin and Brown, Marcus Brown was pretty good up top. I thought Joseph was hard-working as always. But sometimes they were a little bit too fluid. There was sometimes players out of position. I thought, once again, the same old problem. I thought Brannigan and McGuane far too deep for me. But, Taylor did get chances in this one. Oxford did look quite threatening from set pieces as well. And, we forced Peterborough into making mistakes. I did think they were a little bit sloppy at the back, but Oxford just didn't punish them from their mistakes. And ultimately, again, Oxford got bundled out of possession and counter-attacked on for the second goal, really. Taylor was holding the ball up. played it into Joseph. Joseph lost it, and Peterborough went on an attack and scored. Joseph was a little bit unlucky because he got back and made a tackle, but the tackle just went straight to Clark Harris. He played in another double-barrel player, a guy who set up the first goal, Mason Clark, who rolled it back to Poku, who from the edge of the box put it in the bottom corner. You've seen Oxford concede this goal millions of times, and you'll probably see it a million more times. Player unmarked on the edge of the box, given far too much time, curls it beyond Simon Eastwood into the bottom corner. Very good goal from Peterborough's point of view, showed how clinical they are. And as I said, they did cause problems in this game. They did have goals disallowed. They did have a goal disallowed soon after this one for offside themselves. Again, it still wasn't a bad Oxford United first half performance. It's just something very indicative of what Karl Robinson's sides have been, where we seem it's bloody hard work for us to score goals, and at the back we seem to ship them quite easily. It's never been a good recipe, really, and it's continuing on this season. And 2-0 down. Again, the way Oxford played, you thought if they could get a goal back, they'd be right back in it. So he wasn't doom and gloom at half time. It's just the way this season's gone, you really just didn't feel it was going to happen. But Oxford did start the second half very well. And they got a goal quite early on in the second half too. I'm not sure if Peterborough just took their foot off the gas or whether this is just something indicative of McCann's side, that they are just a little bit lackluster, or maybe they don't have the fitness. I don't know. He didn't make a lot of changes, but they did definitely drop off a notch and almost invited Oxford onto them. And Oxford were able to create pressure, and the goal came. Very nice work goal, actually. Kieran Brown, ball into the box. Marcus Brown flicked it on. Billy Bodin, lovely diving header into the bottom corner. Back to 2-1. Bodin deserved that. I failed to mention he hit the post in the first half as well with a header from close range. He should have scored, really. But he did score this one, and this was easily Billy Bodin's best game of the season. You sensed it. You sensed Peterborough were rattled, and could Oxford get up ahead of steam? No, they couldn't. Shortly after Oxford made it 2-1, maybe 5 minutes, or maybe it was 10 minutes or so, Matty Taylor got a red card. It's a big talking point in the game. I know there's going to be Oxford fans that say it was a ridiculous decision. Ref got booed out of the building at the end of the game. And I know Peterborough fans will say it was a straight red and it was clear. Taylor's been pulled all over the place by the Peterborough defender. And Taylor's lost his rag and he's pushed the defender and pushed him in the face, basically. Defender's gone down like he's been shot. Big melee. And referee at the end of it gives Taylor a red card. For me, I think Taylor is ridiculously stupid in this situation. I think that whether you think it's a red card or not, and personally, I think that it has to be, because he's raised his hands and the referee's seen it, and therefore it's a red card. The selling was WWE standards, of course, from the Peterborough player, but that's what they're going to do. Oxford would do the same thing in the same situation. Matty Taylor's given the referee a decision to make. He's produced a red card, and that just gave Oxford a mountain that was hard to climb, made it almost impossible at that point. But they still had 25 minutes to go, and you cannot fault the effort that Oxford United put into this game. You cannot fault the effort that the players put in. They really went for it. There was not a sense of Oxford down in tools or not playing for the manager, who's massively under pressure. We'll get to Karl Robinson in a bit. There isn't a bit of it. No, the players really worked hard all the way to the end. I can't really fault them. Marcus Brown had a shot brilliantly cleared off the line by the Posh defender. My only criticism is Oxford went, and I don't know whether this is tiredness, I'm going to put it down to that, because playing with 10 men for so long, Oxford went a little bit too direct for my liking, too early on in this game. Still with like 20 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, Oxford started really just lumping the ball forward, and it didn't really work. It didn't really materialise. I think we'd have been better off just trying to play our football, especially when we brought the likes of Anderson on. We never really tried to get the ball out wide to Brown, out to Anderson. We never really kind of got Goodrum into the game. And I feel the Peterborough defence was more of a threat to Oxford playing the ball on the ground than it was in the air. I thought we could have really pushed and pressed them into making more mistakes than they did. They saw the game out quite comfortably. And so, weird one, really. Good win for Peterborough. Disappointing loss for Oxford. You can't fault the effort, but again, it is another defeat in what has been an awful season so far. Right, let's do these player ratings and then I'll get on to my final thoughts of where this leaves Oxford United. It's not in a good place. But I'm going to start with Simon Eastwood. He gets a 6 from me. He picked the ball out of the net a couple of times, and other than that, he didn't really do too much. A couple of catches, a couple of half stops, if you like. There was one sort of chipped effort that he saved. And all of that was just reduced to lumping balls forward, really. So didn't do much, 6. Kieran Brown, another 7, solid again at left back. Doesn't do anything wrong. He's not the most creative, but he did produce the assist for the goal of a fine cross. And obviously, you know, he's always going to be a weapon with those long throw-ins, even though they're not particularly threatening. And defensively, very solid, 7 out of 10. Finley gets a 6. I didn't think he had a bad game again, but he makes mistakes. He made a mistake really right in the first few minutes of the game. And, you know, so he's still got that problem with it. He played he's getting better at passing the ball out from the back. They had a lovely through ball to Taylor in the first half. And yeah, all right, solid, but not great. 6 out of 10. Moore gets a 6 as well. I think in the first half they were under the cosh a lot from this Peterborough forward line, and I think they really did struggle with that forward line. I don't think Moore had a great game up against Clark Harris, so he gets a 6 as well. Keep those 6s coming because it's another one for Long. Again, I thought he struggled against Mason Clark all afternoon, well, certainly in the first half. Second half, he tried to get forward, tried to put some balls into the box, but I don't think his quality was really there. 6 out of 10 for Long. McGuane gets another 6. He's too deep. He plays too deep, and we needed him to be further up the pitch in this game. Oxford were really struggling in the first half, even when Brannigan and McGuane were too deep. Peterborough players were still picking up pockets of space in between them and the back line. So I don't think he had a great game. For me, he's far too much, gets the ball, plays an easy pass, or he takes someone on, falls over, wins a free kick. He's not driving those games forward like we need him to. 6 out of 10. Brannigan also gets a 6 for me. Again, work rate, heart, effort, can't fault it, but quality wasn't there for me from Brannigan. And so a bit like McGuane, really. He didn't dictate this game forward, and at the end of the game, he's far too much just lumping the ball forward for me. 6 out of 10 for Brannigan. Kyle Joseph gets a 7. I thought, again, work rate, hard work, effort, determination was all there from him. I thought his hold-up play was pretty good. He backtracked and tried to make tackles whenever he could as well. So again, I can't fault the work rate, and I thought that some of the best stuff Oxford did involve Joseph getting involved with the play. So 7 out of 10 for Joseph. Marcus Brown got an 8. I thought he was excellent all afternoon, really. I thought when he really rolled his sleeves up and showed that he's not like a fancy Dan kind of player. He to use a Karl Robinson term, he cares. He was doing a lot of donkey work in the first half, making blocks, helping out Kieran Brown. But whenever he could get forward, he was proving that little bit of quality. He had a lovely curled effort in the first half, very unlucky not to get the equaliser at the end, and he was one guy that did try and drive Oxford United forward whenever he could, so he gets an 8 out of 10. And Billy Bodin was my man of the match. He scored the goal. I thought this was his best game in an Oxford United shirt this season. I thought right from the start his touch just looked there. He looked on it. He was like a couple of nice turns. A couple of times he overplayed a little bit, but generally a bit unlucky with the offside goal at the start. Then he did score his goal in the second half. Could have had a couple of goals in this game, really, but bright, encouraging game for Bodin. Hopefully that's the first of many, because we're going to need it. What can you say about Matty Taylor? I'm going to give him a 3. He at least got some efforts in. I thought his hold-up play was okay as well, and he got some shots on goal. He's a bit greedy with one of them in the first half where he could have squared it, and then he gets sent off, and he got sent off for his own petulance, and you won't convince me of that otherwise. 3. And that brings me to Robinson. We'll get into him in final thoughts. I'm going to give him a 6. I think he set the team up pretty as you would expect them to do, really. I thought Oxford played all right. I think he made his substitutions far too late, and which is a little bit hamstrung when you're down to 10 men. It's a little bit difficult, but I don't think he did anything amazing. I don't think he did anything terrible. So he gets a 6 out of 10. So where does this leave us, Oxford United fans? It leaves us in a bloody messy hole. I didn't even mention the crappy defeat that we had to Sutton in the Papa John's Trophy. We got eliminated from that tournament. No one really cares about it, but it's never good when you lose 2-0. When you play a pretty strong side and lose 2-0 to a League Two side. And we did fear that we would, when we played the better sides in the league, that we would get overrun. At times, Peterborough did run through us quite easily in the first half. But I think in general, I think Oxford did stand up to Peterborough and put in a pretty good showing. And again, you can't fault the effort that the Oxford United players put in. The quality, though, just still isn't there for me, is it? And that's the biggest thing. We're not a side that looks like they're going to be challenging anywhere near the top of the league. We're not a side that looks like it's going to be in the playoffs. We're playing the better sides in the league, and at times today we did feel like a plucky underdog cup side playing against a higher league side, certainly at times in the first half. And that ultimately comes down to Robinson, doesn't it? Ultimately comes down to the team and the squad he's assembled. We've got players in this squad that we wonder why we kept them on. Why did we keep Alex Goran on? Why did we sign Jody Jones? The depth in the squad looks very light. Even if we had Baldock, Wildschut and Murphy, it still looks light. There's still not a lot of players to come back there. Obviously, Lewis Bate could come back in there too, but is Robinson going to be carrying on? I think he is. I still don't think he's going to be the man to turn this around. I still don't think he's going to survive the season. I think he's going to survive until the Bolton game. I think that they will look at this performance again and dress it up to be more encouraging than the result suggests. And I think that he will get the Portsmouth game and the Bolton game. I think if Oxford lose both of those games, and I would put a few pounds on that happening, I think that could be curtains for Robbo. I think they'd be very interested to know what you think as fans. I know some of you are desperate for him to go, and I know some of you think he should have more time. But I'm really interested to know your comments, what you think after that one. I'm interested to know what you think about the red card. I'm interested to know what you think about Oxford's performance today. Peterborough fans as well, once again, congratulations. And I'm also interested to know your thoughts on what you think this season is going to entail, what you think McCann's doing well and what he's doing badly, and what your thoughts were on the red card. Pretty obvious you're going to think it was one. But well done to you guys. It's another tough defeat for Oxford. It's not looking good. We're going to just have to endure some more pain as this season rolls along. But try and enjoy your Saturday evening. Thanks for watching. If you can hit like and subscribe and all that jazz, that'd be great. And I guess I'll see you on Tuesday.